Welcome back. If a C5 clutch replacement or upgrade is in your future, then I urge you to watch this video. Due to the unique sensitivity of the C5 Corvette's drivetrain, LS engines that were destined for C5s with manual transmissions went through an additional hot balance procedure on the assembly line. Now this hot balance procedure further refined the entire rotating assembly's balance, much further than what was required in C5s that came with automatic transmissions or any other non-torque tube LS application such as the Camaro or the Firebird. Now, I'm pretty sure this video is going to ruffle some feathers. However, the information is too important and replacing the C5 clutch is too time-consuming and difficult to have to do it twice. So we're going to go ahead and talk about C5 clutches, hot balancing, and a whole lot more next.
Toys for life.
Anything that has mass and rotates needs to be balanced. If it's not balanced properly, you're going to get damaging vibration and movement. Engines spin much faster than that dryer, and so that they are smooth and reliable, they're either internally balanced or externally balanced. In the internally balanced engine, weight is either added or subtracted from different parts of the crankshaft until it can spin with minimal vibration. In the externally balanced engine, the same techniques are used, but there's also a weight added to the flywheel to assist in balancing the rotating assembly. Now both LS1 and LS6 engines are internally balanced, so there is no external weight cast into the flywheel or the flex plate if you're looking at an automatic transmission car as these engines leave the factory. For the vast majority of LS powered vehicles, this is exactly how they were installed. Now this is where things get a little fuzzy, but at some point in time, early on in the C5's development, engineers became aware that the combination of the LS motor, the Corvette's unique torque tube design, and a manual transmission was much more sensitive to the minor imbalances left in the Corvette's rotating assembly, the flywheel, the harmonic balancer, and the crankshaft. Without a fix to this issue, GM clearly would have had a whole lot of unsatisfied manual transmission C5 Corvette owners on its hands. As such, GM implemented a hot balance procedure where the engine with the flywheel and the harmonic balancer was started, it was analyzed, and then little weights were added along the perimeter of the flywheel and or the harmonic balancer to bring the final balance to a tighter tolerance than what it had been. In essence, this procedure is essentially the same process that is being done when you take your wheels in to get them balanced. Now let's take a quick look at the flywheel that was removed from my C5 when I upgraded a couple years ago to the Monster LT1S twin disc. So here's my stock LS1 flywheel. I used a red marker to highlight the holes that come equally spaced around the perimeter of the flywheel, giving it the ability to receive extra weight if necessary. As you can see, all of the holes go all the way through the flywheel. And in my engine's case, the hot balancing procedure indicated weights were needed in 3 of the locations. 1, 2, and 3. The weights use an interference fit, and they were just punched into the flywheel right there on the line. So guys, at this point, if you're starting to think to yourself, don't manual transmission C5 Corvettes really come with a mildly externally balanced engine? You'd be right. Before we go any further, guys, if I could ask a favor, if you're finding any value in this video, please hit that share, like, and subscribe below. Alright, so that is the bad news. With the C5 manual transmission Corvette, what you really have is a mildly externally balanced engine. And the only way to be 100% certain that your new flywheel and pressure plate won't cause any nasty vibrations would be to have it match balanced, not neutrally balanced, but actually match the imbalance of your old flywheel and pressure plate to the new flywheel and pressure plate. Now, finding a shop that can do this is harder than you might think. I've tried unsuccessfully in Minnesota to find such a shop. Most of them were either 4 to 6 weeks out, or they wanted too much money to set up a fixture that would allow them to match the imbalance of the old to the new. Now in my previous research when I was doing my clutch, I talked to Steve at Monster Clutch, and they do have a custom fixture, and the last time I checked, which was just a few days ago, They are willing, if you buy your clutch from them, you can send in your old flywheel and pressure plate and they will match the balance to your new flywheel and pressure plate at a very nominal cost. I have not reached out to the other clutch manufacturers to see if they offer a similar match your old to your new service. Alternatively, if you just want to roll the dice and throw in your new clutch assembly, you'll be happy to know that based on the research I've done, and I've called a few shops actually, and most of them, they just toss it in as is, and if they get one or two that are a problem, they deal with it then. So the odds are definitely in your favor. But, and this is a big but, there's also going to be that small minority of people that end up with a nasty vibration that makes their C5 a pain to drive, and now you've got an adversarial relationship with your mechanic trying to figure out who's going to fix the vibration. Right about now, there's probably a fair number of you watching this video that are thinking this is just a whole bunch of made up nonsense. So if you don't believe me, check this out. So what are your options if you roll the dice and you come up short, ending up with a nasty vibration? The first option is you can try the pressure plate washer fix. Now, it's not a silver bullet, but it's definitely worth a try before you yank the whole drivetrain out to get at the clutch. Step one, we're going to go ahead and start the car, and with the clutch pushed in, that's important, we'll go ahead and rev it through the RPM range from idle, slowly all the way up through, say, 4,000 RPM. And make very detailed notes as to what RPM that you hear the vibration at and what the magnitude of it is. Kind of give it a scale in your mind, 1 through 5 or 1 through 10. Then go ahead and remove the bell housing inspection cover and add a washer to one of the bolts. Next, get back in the car and repeat the same RPM test through the same range. Make a global note as to whether or not the vibration's gotten better or worse. And then make detailed notes about what RPM the vibration occurs at and your estimation of the magnitude. Next, using a marker, number the first bolt location, then remove the washer and reinstall it on the next bolt over. Repeat the test, and once again, make detailed notes about the magnitude, the RPM, and most importantly, if the vibration has gotten better or worse than the last position. If the vibration seems to be getting better, but still not good enough, continue moving the washer in the same direction, followed by your testing and your note-taking. Of course, this should be obvious, but if at any point you find a location that makes the vibration acceptable, congratulations, you're done. If you noticed when you moved from bolt number 1 to number 2 that the vibration got worse, then for bolt number 3, let's go the other direction and give that a whirl. If you find the bolt location that offers the least amount of vibration, but yet it's still too much, go ahead and try a second washer on that same bolt, or put the washer immediately adjacent on either side and give that a try. So clearly this is a trial and error process where sound deductive reasoning skills and a little luck will come in handy. So continue on until you either find a solution where the vibration is acceptable or you give up. If you're fortunate enough to find a washer solution that works, be sure to go back and Loctite and retorque any of the bolts that you've loosened. Unfortunately, the only other solution that I'm aware of is the one we discussed earlier, and that entails removing the entire clutch assembly and having it match balanced to the original flywheel and pressure plate. Now for the most important part of the video, if you don't remember anything else, remember this. In order to ever be able to match balance your old flywheel and pressure plate assembly to the new, it's crucial that when they disassemble your drivetrain and remove the flywheel from the crankshaft, that its orientation as to how it's lined up to the crankshaft is noted. Now most of them have a hole in the flywheel and a matching hole in the crankshaft. If that's your case, preferably have them take a picture and just document that. If it's not the case and the hole in the flywheel just matches up with a flat spot on the crankshaft, make sure they use a punch, and a picture would be helpful as well. That way, if you ever need to match balance your old flywheel and pressure plate either before or after the clutch installation, it can be noted when it's match balanced, and when you install the new flywheel and pressure plate, you can clock the flywheel and pressure plate to the same position on the crankshaft that the old one was. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the harmonic balancer might have also received some weights during the hot balance procedure. As part of the clutch replacement process, I ignore this because we don't need to touch the harmonic balancer as part of the clutch repair. Number two, GM harmonic balancers are not known to be very reliable, so by 2021, most likely the balancer's already been replaced at some point in the past without any attention given to whether or not there were weights placed in its perimeter. And number three, given the relatively small diameter of the harmonic balancer versus the larger flywheel, any weights that would have been added to the harmonic balancer wouldn't have anywhere near the impact as the weights do that are added to the flywheel. So guys, if this is the first time you've heard this information, please don't hold the annoying C5 clutch reality against me. The good news is, now that you are aware of the C5 hot balance procedure and how it may or may not affect your clutch replacement, you will be able to make an informed decision. This is quite the lengthy subject. By all means, if you have any solid information that you'd like to add, or if you have any questions about what we talked about, please go ahead and leave a comment below. I will try to answer it, and if it's a good one, I'll pin it. That's going to do it for this one. Please hit that share, like, and subscribe below, and as always, thanks for watching.